All right, who's ready for more coupler repair? We're gonna get started right after this. Welcome back. If you haven't seen my videos before, I'm Ross the Oliver Man, and this is a hydraulic remote coupler off of a 20 series John Deere. And after I did the last one, which I really didn't know what I was doing, there were several people who reached out and said, can't you videotape that so we can see what's happening inside? So I suppose I'll make another video doing this one. This one, the cast is in better shape. The other one, we had to fix the broken pieces there. And the bad thing about these is, apparently, even after you rebuild them, there's a good chance they'll leak. And I think my other one is dripping a little bit on the one side, but I don't know. We'll see what happens in the warm. I think what I'm gonna do is try to find another housing and redo that other one of mine again. I'll just pull the guts out of mine and stick it in a different cast piece if I can find one. Then all I got to do is replace some O-rings, but that is neither here nor there. We're going to work on this one today. Several people said, well, why don't you just take these off and plumb in Pioneer couplers or whatever? Well, I want it original, and it's not doing anything other than loader work. It never gets hooked up to anything. There's other tractors for that. So I want to keep this one original. And that's also why I'm not buying those different inserts. You can get Pioneer inserts. They go in here, and then I think what they do is they more or less do away with the lever setup, and you just push those in, and then it's Pioneer couplers from there on out. And you just gotta hold the ring and do whatever, however that works. I'm not sure, but people said they do fix some of the leaking because they protrude more out of the back or something, but whatever. That's not what we're doing. We're going original. So I'm going to try to mount you up higher this time, where you can perhaps look down upon the operation and get a better idea of what's going on. I feel more confident this time since I've done one already. I kind of know what's in there, so maybe I can, you know, film what's happening a little bit more authoritatively maybe. But I'm still no John Deere expert, so feel free to chime in. All right, well, we got parts everywhere. I don't know that this is a great view. I don't know how to make it where you can't see the tripod in it, but that's just the way she's gonna be. Maybe I can zoom in on it and eliminate some of that. But let's start in somewhat of an order here so we can get something. Well, first thing we could do, we can put this piece back on, because it does nothing other than, my understanding is, its only point is to give these levers something to push against. You'll see when they go in, you need that extra piece to help bring them back so it can pull the insides back. So that's what they're doing. So basically we'll put that on there so we don't accidentally bend those roll pins while we're maneuvering this setup. Should have cleaned my tools too. I put most everything in the ultrasonic cleaner except for a couple bolts and things. The steel balls didn't go in there because I don't have a way to. But let's start with this piece. Inside of this, right here, and then if you flip it over, right here, is an O-ring and a backup ring. And I'll get them out of here so you can see. I just let them go through the ultrasonic cleaner with it in, because I don't figure that's gonna make any much more difference there. I might be wrong. I'm just gonna go around a little bit more and clean up some of the gunk, because what it does, that ultrasonic cleaner is water, you know, and it hangs up in places. So I'm just going to make sure that that's clean. Also, when I was working on the kind of cleaning the outside, I got some more little paint shavings and stuff down in this one here. So there's that. But this has been cooked at over 100 degrees several times. So anything that was stuck is long since loose. Now, these I found to be quite difficult because there's really no good place. Like, you can't go through the back hole that great to get there. You pretty well just got to work through the front. And it just ain't great. Also, working standing up with the camera over top is not as easy. Trying to get that out of there. It might actually take a, we might take a straight one. Let's see if we can, yeah, flip it up out of there enough to get a hold of it. You just yell if you can't see. I can't hardly see either. There's a good example of, look how flat that is. So, time to be replaced. Come on out of there. There we go. Let's go. Ta-da. Okay. So in the interest of, it looks dirty, but it's really not, I promise you. That cooking it in that thing leaves it kind of a haze on it. But anyway, we should probably start with getting this ready to go back together, because everything builds off of this. So we've got our handy kit, which is this, and I think it services a whole bunch of years because there's instructions in the bag that tell you what to do. Substitute on breakaway couplers built prior to 1970, which this one is. Install O-rings A and backup rings B on coupler. Discard seals C. So that's what we're working with. So those extra seals we're not going to use. And it says install remainder of parts per diagram. So yeah. But this is a little bit of matching skills here, because we got a whole baggie full of stuff and we need to get our couple old ones here and match up what we got. Now there should be 4 sets, you see, because there's 4 positions here that need stuff. And in the other one, I found this to be quite confusing because I wasn't sure what O-rings went to what sometimes on the other ones, because they didn't give me O-rings for these 2 fittings, and I'm not sure that they gave O-rings. It shows that they did, but I think I had to get some out of my kit to do the coupler inside where your actual tip goes, but we'll find that out here in a little bit. So what I found to be the easiest on this, we might as well start with the most difficult ones, was to try to get this backup ring in first and then put the O-ring past it, because your backup ring goes behind the the O-ring, and the O-ring goes towards the pressure side. So if you look at this compartment, that one sits here and the other one sits here. So it would be backup ring, O-ring, O-ring, backup ring in the order of operations. So, but the way that this is made, this one is just a pain. You can't really get to it. At least I can't with my fat meat hooks. Maybe if you were a little Italian guy or something. And they kind of made it, that backup ring, like spiral. That does help on some of them. But then what I did was I put this in and I actually go past where it needs to go, because you want to make sure that backup ring's in the right place. And I may not be able to do this up on end like I have it to show you, because I can't. Gravity is working against me. Almost in there. Almost in there. Also, if you're going to tackle this, you best have a good assortment of small screwdrivers and picks and just everything imaginable, because you don't know what you're going to end up needing to get this job done. Certain things work better for certain people. Today, now that I'm trying to do a really nice video on this, I can't get anything to go in at all. Riveting, isn't it? I can't even see what I'm doing now. I'm just working by feeling. You have to do that a lot when you work on stuff. There's a lot of times you can't get yourself in a position where you can physically do it and also see what you're doing. All right, so there's one, I hope correctly. Yes, you can see. You probably can't, but we've got the backup ring towards us and the O-ring behind that. So we might as well do this side now, and we'll flip it over and do the back too, which should be, in theory, much more easy. You got to make sure it doesn't get all wonky too, because it'll bypass itself, and then it's a big wad of sadness. That's terrible. Alright, I don't know if I said that, but before we put the center part in, we'll grease it all really good, really goodly, so that it, but for doing this part, kind of gotta go in dry, I think, because otherwise you'll just be fighting all that other stuff too, the grease or whatever you use as lube. Double check our work. Double check the camera to make sure you're not doing something strange. We are good. Now we'll do this side. The backup ring goes towards us again, but as I said before, for some reason or another, I found it easier to put the backup ring in first and then push the O-ring past it and get it on the back side where it belongs. It seemed to work out better for me that way. So you'll jam that in there like that there. Once you get it past there, then pull it back into the groove. And sometimes you might need to start over. Okay, there's one. And that's in there. All right, so this part here is ready for stuff to go back into it. I am going to smear some grease around on it, on the O-rings, because you don't want to go in dry, you know. All right, you went crazy again, but I'll keep an eye on you. Now, our next affair that's rebuilt is going to be these. And this I found to be the most difficult part of the whole thing, was getting those lock rings out of there. Now somebody in the comments had a good idea. He said when he worked at the dealership, they would push this down and then heat it with a brazing tip pointed right at that thing, and the little ring would lose its temper real quick, and then you could easily bend it out of there. So I think that's a good idea, as long as you don't go crazy and do too much, because you could definitely destroy stuff if you don't watch what you're doing. But basically, you got to push this down, and then there's a ring. This little screwdriver is what I used last time. I got it in the green groove and was able to turn it because it's been filed down. And then I was able to work on it that way. I tried pushing it down like with a socket, a long depot socket, where I could get some room, you know. And this one actually, this one pushes a lot easier than some of them that I did. Yeah, see, like that one's pretty stiff. So clean them up good while you're at it. There is an O-ring and a backup ring inside there. And then there's also an O-ring and a backup ring inside here, which seals your lever. And I didn't show that on the last one, I don't think. But there is, in fact, in there, O-ring and backup ring in there. And then, of course, your one for here. So I'm going to work on this, getting this loose, because there's no use to film it. It's going to take however long it takes. And if I have to go outside and use the welder to do it, so be it. But we'll get that ring out, and then I'll show you pulling the guts out. All right. I don't remember which viewer gave me that tip, but thank you. Heating that up made these things bend, and that was a lot easier than the way I did it the first time. There we go. But that one popped loose. All right. Technical difficulties there. I don't know if heating it made the difference on that or not, but I had a little more trouble getting them pulled out of there. But we're going to clean this up. And then there's an O-ring and a backup ring in there. And it looks to me like I might have melted that backup ring a little bit, and that was probably my problem. So the heating up trick, I guess do at your own risk. Really, these need to be not mix matched, because I've had not good luck on spools and valves and things where you mix up pieces that are machined together. They'll leak. So we'll do one at a time. Let's set that aside. Let's not lose the steel ball. Probably should have got more brake clean while I was outside, just to polish this up a little. All right. So, lots of stuff to do on these. We're going to take out what's left of this. I guess that's what that is the melted backup ring. So there's an O-ring. Yeah. See, that got a little toasty and came apart. Although it could have, I guess, come apart before, and we're just seeing it now. All right, so let's put that back in, and then we'll go to the other things, namely these, and then also that in there, but I don't think I got any for that. I think I got to get some out of my O-ring kit. See, these seals we don't need because what we're doing is not, although I'm not convinced that these aren't what's supposed to go in there. We'll see. All right, we'll sort that out in a minute. Again, what I found worked the easiest was to flip your paper towel right in the way. No. But was to put this in first and then put the O-ring behind it. Now maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe it would be easier to try to wind this in with everything in there, but I just don't think so. This is such a tiny place to work here. All right, if you have to ask yourself, is it in yet? You probably already know the answer. All right, I got that put in there and greased up. The ball goes in, spring goes in, plunger goes in like this. You might ought rotate it a little bit as you go in. Then we got to put our new lock ring in, which is equally as much fun as taking the old one out. Except it does, I don't know what to say to you. It's just fun because you don't have enough room to really maneuver. And if you get too aggressive, you'll bend it and then it won't spring in there right. So a few test pumps there. Make sure it's fully seated in there, and then we're ready to move on to another part of it. Now, this is equally much of a pain because the tinier you get, the more difficult it is to put stuff in. But it's the same type of idea. An O-ring with a backup ring. That one fell out that way. So I got to put some on there, and then in here there's an O-ring and a backup ring that seal your coupler itself, or your tip. So we'll get that put in. So I will get that much done, and then I'll bring you back. All right, I got both of these put together. And I'm telling you what, if you use those flat O-rings that come with the kit to put in here, you are going to have a struggle, my friends. Because I think it took me well over an hour for each one. Not a pleasant time. But with that, we're ready to put this back together. Of course, you need your ring to retain it. And also this flat side goes up, because you need a place for that spring to rest. And it would be dandy if you could somehow twist it while you were pushing it, but that may not always be the case. So also, now would be a good time. It's reminding me, thank goodness we didn't get that accomplished, because You need to put all those little balls back in there. The little steel balls that retain your tip. I think I got them all in there. Now that we got that pushed in there, our next thing is going to be putting the snap ring back in. And that's all there is to it. Then let's go ahead and put the other side in that far, and we'll do the levers last. That just makes sense to me. Forget this. That started in there. Come on. Put those balls in there. My fingers are making stuff more dirty than one, two, three, four, five. Where'd the number 6 ball go? That's what we don't want. We don't want it to roll away and get lost. I like the way that one slid in a lot better than the other side. You know, it'll probably leak. That's just the way she is. I forgot. I need to put the snap ring in here. I just slingshotted something across the table here. Oh, very important piece we'll need in a minute. Spring. Alright, snap rings in. Those should be retained. Now, for an equally thrilling adventure, we're going to put these levers in. Simply make sure you do it the right way, though. Then you are going to have a spring and an E-ring. Oh, so much fun, E-rings. When I did the other one, this was also a struggle. I know it did help to have it pushed back more. And actually, I think I had it with 2. Like I pushed down with one and then pushed forward with the other one. You got to make sure the E-ring goes on top of the spring, not into one of the coils. So that's on there. Let's see if we can make the other one happen that way. Everything's lubed up and you twist and push. Don't go wild and whatever. Or you might have some problems. But again, this is going to be a tedious push it down process. See, that's not good because now I'm stuck in the groove with the spring. And it'll slingshot that up in the air. And we don't want that. Yep, kind of like that. Kind of like that. Well, we're going to pause while I find it. Okay, friends, that's done, and that's good because everything's working like it should. You push those, and then it locks them back, holds the balls open and all that. I have a lot better hopes for this side than I do for that first one I did, but that's just the way it is. When you do something the first time and don't know, things happen. With that all being said, our final step should be putting these freeze plugs in. For some reason that is not there. I'm going to say, there's no reason why that shouldn't work. You can go too much and then they'll fall out, so you don't want to do that thing. But I think we're good there. There we go. All right, finally, this little doodad goes on with your clips. However, one of mine is missing, so I'm just going to put the one on. Hope I got it on the right side, because the boom cylinders are one way, so I could technically probably put this plug in. One thing I noticed, if I show you these chains, just from riding around all these years hanging like this, look how much they've wore almost all the way through. And they did in the case of the coupler thing, and that's the plug, and that's why it's gone. But yeah, you wouldn't think that just hanging like this for years and years and years could wear such grooves in them. But there they are. So this should be good. I should be able to put that in there like this. And then that's plugged off then, see? So that's nice. What else? Well, somehow in this kit, I did end up with enough O-rings to do this. So either my other one, I dropped some out of it, or I just didn't do anything in the right spot, which is highly possible. Now these, I'm afraid, are too big, because when I did that on the other one, they wanted to squeeze out before I ever got where they need to be. How are these going? Oh, this one's going a lot better than the other one went. The other one just didn't want to play ball with me at all. I have to turn them anyway when I put them on the tractor, so I'm going to stop with that for now. But I do want to paint it again, so I'll put them in to keep it clean, and then I'll tape these up so they don't get coated with stuff. Let's see if this one will follow suit. I think it will. I think the O-rings that came in this kit fit it better. So I don't know what I could have done wrong on the other one, because there was only so many choices. But anywho, I'm going to call this one a success. I'm happier with the way this went. Of course, since I had just done one, now I know a little bit more about how they're made, and I didn't have to guess as much on certain things. But I'm confident that everything is in the right spot on this one, and this is as good as we could do for it. So if it doesn't work or leaks, such is life. That other one, I may get another kit and go back and pull that one spool out. I think I can do that with it even on the tractor and whatever. But I also have thoughts of just waiting till summer and ponying up $500 and buying another one of these from a salvage yard, and then rebuild that one so that, or at least use the housing from that one so I got one that's never been broke, and I could pull my guts out, which have been rebuilt, and put them in that one, because this isn't as precise fit. The barrels into this housing aren't as precise fit as it would be for like that little plunger inside of this one piece, because this is just riding an O-ring, so there shouldn't be anything real precise about it. But at any rate, I'm a lot happier with this one, and hopefully that footage might help somebody see how it's made if you're brave enough to tackle it yourself. I wouldn't say that it's overly complicated. It's just very time consuming, because there's a lot of little things that you have to manipulate and you don't have room to get in there and do it. The longest things in the whole process would have been getting that snap ring out of that back of this spool thing, and then putting the rubber O-ring, the flat O-ring, inside of these couplers. If you didn't do that, that would have saved you an hour aside probably. So, you know, I don't know. All told, I thought I would be able to do this one faster, but I think it's still, when you count the cleaning time and today's assembly, it took 4 or 5 hours just to get this as far as you see it here. So I guess factor that in if it's on a tractor you're going to use, because it's going to take you a while. You might get frustrated and want to just walk away, because sometimes that saves you from doing something you regret. So anyway, I'm confident in this one, much more so than I was in the other one. So I'm going to get it taped up and painted up, and then we will put it back on the tractor and see how we did. But I think we did a good thing, and even if we have to go back and pull that one side out of that other one, I'm okay with that, because you have to learn somehow, and at least I learned on my own. You know, now if somebody calls and they want me to work on one of these, I have some knowledge of all the places that there's something in there, because sometimes the picture, it doesn't tell you the whole story, you know, where you can see what's going on. So anyway, we're gonna leave this one here. Thanks for watching.